It's Dave Dayen is here, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Dayen, how are you, buddy?
Thank you for having me on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for making time to come down to the studio. It's a big thrill to have you here. And we're going to talk about your most recent article that you wrote for the Intercept, and it has all to do with the single-payer debate that's happening in California right now. Now, California is the 6th largest economy in the world, and we still don't have single payer. And our Democratic legislature is telling us can't do it. So we're going to talk about that. But first, before we get into it, I want to show you what I think is the big problem with getting single payer. And we had Shama Sawant on this show, and she told us that if you're a progressive, that the road for your movement will meet a graveyard inside the Democratic Party. Now, when she said that, I thought she was being a little extreme, using big rhetoric. Turns out she's right. Because when she got the $15 minimum wage passed in Seattle, she had to fight the Democratic mayor to get it. And now we're trying to get a single payer in California. We're gonna have to fight the Democrats to get it. Dick Gephardt used to be the majority leader for the Democrats. He was a Democratic congressman from Missouri for almost 30 years, up until 2005, from 1977. And he was the majority leader, he was the minority leader, he was the Democratic caucus leader. So he's a leader in the Democratic Party, even ran for president. And so he, in 2005, he quit the Congress, and that same year he started his own lobbying firm and started working for other lobbying firms. And during the Affordable Care Act debate, he worked for a lobbying firm that killed the public option. That's our Democratic leader. What do you call a guy who works for a lobbyist firm that kills the public option and he's a Democrat? You call that guy a super delegate. That's who he is. So here he works for this health insurance company called Centene. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. But they were having their to get together at a big fancy hotel in New York City, and he was asked a question. This is Dick Gephardt. If you go to my computer, you see that's him, Dick Gephardt. See what he looks like? The guy's got no eyebrows. Remember, that's the big thing everyone used to say about him, that he had no eyebrows. But now he's really, really rich, and he's really, really powerful. And here he was at an investors meeting, and he was caught on a microphone talking about single payer. And listen to the question, by the way. So this is a health insurance guy asking Dick Gephardt, who's now lobbying for health insurance companies, former majority leader in the Congress for the Democrats. Listen to the question he asks him.
Second question, one of the sort of existential threats that I always think about in this business is just a single payer system. And I know we've never gotten close on the Senate floor, but I guess in anyone's mind, I'm curious.
Did you hear how he started that question? He's a guy in the health insurance industry, and he said it's always been an existential threat. What was an existential threat? Let's listen.
One of the sort of existential threats that I always think about in this business is just a single payer system. And I know we've never gotten close on the Senate floor, but I guess in anyone's mind, I'm curious to get anyone's perspective. Is there a scenario where, this just isn't working? Maybe there's another bill in it, the HCA, and that doesn't work as well either. Is there a scenario where we're ever really contemplating a single payer system in the U.S.?
Not in my lifetime. I'm pretty old, so but there is no way you could pass single payer in any intermediate future. And I've given you my editorial comment. This is the greatest healthcare system in the world, bar none. If you got a real problem, you want to be in America. And if you look around the world where they have single payer, I think you will find, it covers more people, but they do not have the quality and they do not have the innovation that we get because of the involvement of the private sector in our healthcare system. And I think that will defeat single payer approaches now and in the future.
Hear, hear. Put me down as agreeing with Leader Gephardt. As usual.
Haley and I are both in the middle on this one.
Well, that is Dick Gephardt agreeing with Haley Barbour on healthcare.
If I'm not mistaken, that was Haley Barbour.
Yeah,
who was the head of the Republican National Committee for a while.
Yes.
So they found something to agree on.
On screwing people out of healthcare.
Right.
Yeah, for money, right? Which is what they're doing. So he's.
Right. They're both big time lobbyists. Yeah.
So, and Dick Gephardt was super, as far as I can tell, was super progressive when he was in Congress, right? I don't know, super.
He was a labor Democrat.
He was a labor.
Big on labor.
Put it that way.
Yes, he definitely was a friend of the people. So when he takes this position, it's pretty shocking and uncomfortable, and that they can giggle about it is even more, I guess it just highlights how corrupt the whole system really is.
So I agree with you, Steph, on that. And so I think that kind of shows you the problem. Even a guy who was a labor Democrat when he was in power, as soon as he gets out, he starts lobbying, he takes all this money, and now he works against the public option, and now he's giggling with Haley Barbour, and he's using right-wing talking points because everything he said was not true. They have better outcomes in single-payer countries at lower costs. Better outcomes at lower costs. So what he said was not true, and he's saying that for money. That's because he's being bribed to say that. It's hard to get a guy to understand a problem when his paycheck depends on him not understanding it. So Dick Gephardt, he's enriching himself while he denies poor people health care. That's a guy with no integrity, as far as I'm concerned. All right, here's Anthony Rendon. Here's Anthony Rendon, who is the assembly leader here in California. He was being asked about single payer after the Senate in California had proposed a bill for single payer. And here's what he said. Now, I didn't put this video together. Someone sent this to me, so I can't take credit for it. But here we go.
Is it time to do single payer in California?
I've been supportive of single payer since before I ever heard of Obamacare. Maybe before I ever heard of Barack Obama, I'm not sure.
Since 2012, Speaker Anthony Rendon has taken at least $150,000 from pharma and health insurers.
I've been supportive of single payer for quite some time. There's a lot in flux at the federal government level, to say the least. So the details need to be figured out, and
He's sincere by the way he's looking down at the ground, twiddling his thumbs. You can tell he's not bullshitting at all. This guy is bullshitting right now at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and he's got tells all over the place. So if you know anything about a guy lying, this guy cannot conceal the fact that he's bullshitting you right now. This is Anthony Rendon. Here let's go back.
The bill that's in the Senate, I think Laura is the author, is something that I need to look at. I'm philosophically in favor of single payer. This particular bill I need to look at. And also the timing is, there's something, the timing may be a challenge.
Why is that?
Because there's so much in flux at the federal government level.
To me, I played that because to me, we all know, everybody in this room, everybody outside this room knows that's the problem. The problem is that the Democrats are in bed with the pharmaceutical industry and the health insurance lobby, and they take money and they're paid to not understand the problem. Hey, if you enjoyed this clip of Aggressive Progressive, why not become a member of the TYT network, and you can watch the whole hour. You know, we do a show every Thursday, and then you can watch it live when it happens as a member, or you can watch it later at your convenience because you get access to the podcast of Aggressive Progressive and other ways to get a hold of it. There's lots of stuff. Come become a member at tytnetwork.com/join.